the other person could have, let's say, a red mark or a scratch. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is David Kohlmeier, the Problem Solver. Thanks so much for joining me today. Every single week, I have amazing people on the Problem Solver show. I'm helping people every single week by solving problems. I'm a retired police officer of 17 years, worked in New York City. I worked in the city of Henderson. I helped solve problems when I was a police officer, and now I solve problems every single day, whether I'm wearing a t-shirt or a suit and tie. I'm here to help the community in Las Vegas, Henderson, North Las Vegas, all across the United States of America. I'm looking for amazing people to come on the show today. I have some great guests that we're going to be talking about rideshare, Uber, Lyft, how to make money, all that good stuff. So if you're interested in that topic, this is the podcast today to listen to. With that being said, I want to introduce my co-host today. To my right, I have lovely, legendary John Orlando, who's my co-host today, and also the host of Action Junkies, which is a local podcast in Vegas. Thanks so much, John, for helping me. And
when you said amazing people, I thought I was in the wrong place for a minute. I was like, wait, I don't fit the profile of what you were just talking about.
Actually, you do.
I do?
I'm trying to build you up, John.
Yeah, I like it. I'll take it. I'll take it.
No, not that kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Then we have David James to my left over here, who has a podcast called Bit About Crypto.
Yeah.
The guy's the crypto guru of...
getting jobs in the crypto sphere.
Got it. Also no nickname of the Job Whisperer, helping people get jobs.
Get whispered.
Job Whisperer. And so he's on the show today, co-host Last Minute, which is great because David has been on my show before helping solve problems. And so I'm glad you're back on today, which is
Thanks.
great.
Glad to be here. Appreciate it.
The main guru today, which I'm going to call him a guru, he's a AKA teacher in regards to rideshare. I have Jason, who's a good friend of mine and has been driving Uber Lyft for about 6 years. And he is very vocal about rideshare and drivers and helping them. So I thought this would be a great time. I've never had someone for rideshare to talk about it. So Jason, thanks so much for joining me today on the show.
No worries. I still don't know about the whole guru and great person thing, but yeah.
Great person, guru, teacher. That's why I only have great people on the show.
Okay.
So you're in that category. So thanks for everybody basically being here today. With that being said, so I wanted to know, it's interesting because David is, known as the Job Whisperer and getting people employment with the whole crypto industry.
Or any industry.
Any industry.
Yeah, I'll help anybody get a job.
Got it.
So
Okay.
it's all transferable.
All employment, which is I always bring on other problem solvers. So I want to get people employment and so on. I also have a progressive web app, which is called the problemsolver.vegas, which I need to get David James information on there. So if someone's looking for a job, they'll go to the app, they'll find you, they'll call you 3 in the morning and say, look, I need a job. And you're going to help them get a job.
Yeah, everybody interviews at 3 a.m. You're on to something.
Well, it depends where you are, right?
Vegas.
You're
you're right.
But you are nationwide, right?
Well, actually, I'm global, but
Global.
yeah, but go back. Let's bring it back down.
So I want to talk about rideshare because, a lot of people are drivers. I'm not sure the numbers. I want to learn more about rideshare and is it worth getting involved in rideshare, driving Uber and Lyft? Things have changed during COVID and so on. So just, Jason, tell me more about rideshare and, your history about your experience with rideshare driving.
In 6 years, I've done just about every platform we have here in Nevada. It can be worth it, but you have to have strategy. You have to use your brain. You can't just mindlessly tap the app and go wherever it tells you to go. You're not going to make any money. Not real money, at least. There's a lot of great resources out there for drivers if you really want to make some money. Driver Companion app we're working on with Dave here. It's going to be a nice little resource helping with legal aid, other various things. It's in progress. We're trying to make it more user-friendly, but keep your eyes open for that. It's going to be a great tool. There's a kickback app, which if you don't have it, that's a great resource for, figuring out alternative ways to get money from people, from businesses. They tip you out to bring them customers. You have a lot of influence as a rideshare driver in Las Vegas. Maybe different from any other market in the country. We're heavy tourism. Obviously, we have 4 different categories of passenger. You have your local, which can be broken down into work local and social worker, social local. Then you have your social tourist, parties, whatever. You also have your business tourist. Knowing how to identify the difference in those is really important, talking to them. And you can make a lot of money if you're just vocal with these people, get to know why they're here, learn to leverage your resources that you do have, know the area, and you can make a whole bunch of money with these people.
When you say that, is that because there's different places that give like drivers kickbacks. Like if you bring someone to a dispensary or you bring someone to a strip club or things like that.
And it's all listed in that app. I mean, I don't want to get into too much detail, but you could download it. It's free on the iTunes store and the Play Store. It actually has a little distance thing. So wherever you're at, it's going to pull up the closest place. Little best practices on how to get it too, because some places aren't as easy as others. But something as simple as just talking to your passengers will show you how you could turn maybe a $5 fare into a $55 fare, and that extra $40, $50 can go a long way.
Especially if you do 10, 20 trips a day or something, right?
Yeah, and some of these guys, they do the standard UberX regular Lyft ride. They might do 20, 30 in a shift. If they do 12 hours of driving, they could do 20 or 30 shifts. That's it, yeah. The big thing with right now, we're coming up on maybe the busiest 4 weeks you're going to get as a rideshare driver in Las Vegas. You've got the week before Christmas. People are going to be out shopping. You're going to have a lot of that. People do come here. I think, especially because we were closed down to international travel last year, we're going to get inundated with foreign, people from foreign countries the week of Christmas and New Year's, which is the following week. That's our busiest week of the year in Vegas. Millions of people come here. I don't know the exact numbers, but millions of people will be coming through that airport. The whole strip is going to be lit up with surge. If you don't know what that is, it's dynamic surge pricing. When the demand gets higher, you're going to make more money on the ride.
Oh, you're talking as the uptick on what the rider makes. That's the surge you refer to.
Yeah, so the passenger will pay a little bit more. The driver will make a little bit more. It works for everybody. The company makes a little bit more, obviously. They're not doing this for UNICEF. Don't know if I got a trademark infraction there.
No, you're good. You're good.
They're not doing it for free. They do have to make profit, or there's no rides anymore. You're not in competition with the taxis. They don't see us as competition at all anymore. I spoke with cab drivers. They think we get all the cheap people. They don't want our people anyway. There's various different ways you can do this, depending on your car you drive, where you drive, what time you drive. If you drive a regular 4-seater car, you're going to want to be in the strip. You're going to want to be in the tourist corridor because that's where the people are. If you drive a larger vehicle, you could do the XL rides, which is the larger parties, a van, an SUV. You have to have strategy. Know what's going on in town. Know where it's going on. Try to be at that place when it's getting out or when it's going, because that's where you're going to get your longer rides. I start in Summerlin when the Golden Knights are playing. You want to get those rides from Summerlin to the Golden Knights game. Does it suck sitting in traffic? Absolutely. Same thing with the Raider games, although I try to actively avoid Raider fans like the plague. I value my safety. Again, coming up on Christmas and New Year's, the other thing I wanted to talk about, people in general drive like maniacs. Vegas is a very transient town. You guys all know this. People aren't the best drivers here. We have a lot of people coming in from California, and we all know how amazing drivers they are, or as I call them, the white plates. But you got to keep in mind, when people drive recklessly, when they're in a rush, when they're driving crazy, or when it rains like it did the other day, there's a lot of accidents. If you're online with Uber, Lyft, or DoorDash, or whatever you're doing, and you get in an accident, you need some help. Those companies, insurance companies, are brutal to work with. And we have the rideshare injury lawyers who can help you with that, help navigate through that, get you your medical care, get your car repaired, get you back on the road making money. Because when you don't have your car, you're not making money. Unless you know how to invest in maybe Bitcoin or something.
Luckily, we got the Bit About Crypto podcast host guru here to talk about that. Quick thing I want to jump in. I want to tell John and Dave, the reason why that I know Jason is that over the last 6 years I worked in different law firms, I was always trying to basically help rideshare drivers because my father was a taxi cab driver in New York City for probably 15, 20 years. Then he drove a Lincoln, which in New York City, they were like maroon Lincolns.
Lincoln Town Car?
Lincoln Town Car. But it was the maroon ones in New York City, which was, I forgot the name.
And he had a medallion for that car?
I think, I don't know if there was a medallion. I guess there was a medallion for that car, yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if he was a gypsy.
Car service.
No, it wasn't a gypsy, but thanks for bringing that up there.
Those guys are awesome.
Those are the green.
How else do you get home from the train station at 2 o'clock in the morning?
I didn't mean it as an insult.
No,
when you were talking about
there are gypsies
cars
out there, yeah.
Right.
But also, in New York, they changed it. There's green cars because they weren't going into like the bad neighborhoods. Did you know about that?
No.
They made like green taxi cabs.
So they don't drive anymore.
Because they were like discriminating people in those bad areas. That the taxi cab drivers didn't want to get robbed in certain areas. So they made certain cars that were green taxi cabs that would be in those areas.
So the person hailing the cab would know I can't go to or through a certain neighborhood, or do I have it backwards?
I don't know that whole thing worked out. You familiar with that? The green,
Nope.
it was a green taxi cabs in New York City, and they're more of like the local neighborhood areas because they didn't. I guess they needed more vehicles in those areas, in the local neighborhoods, and everybody was like in Manhattan. They didn't want to go to the Bronx or certain areas. So I don't know. I didn't get into the whole detail, but things change in New York City in regards to. But I always felt, my father was a driver, for many years, and I always wanted to help drivers. So I would go to different places, and I noticed that a lot of them didn't have benefits. So I was hooked up with, I think the woman was from Allstate trying to give insurance. So I was trying to help with legal and tickets. And there's a big thing out here, which is deactivation, where like, if you say that he smells like marijuana, he will get deactivated. Explain how that works. The deactivation is such a big thing. I feel bad.
There's always two sides to every story. Well, three sides. There's the driver's side, the passenger side, and the truth. When Vegas first opened up rideshare, and it was pretty much all over the place, passengers didn't want to pay their excessive ride fare, usually New Year's Eve, large events, EDC, notorious for this, because it's always surging, and these are kids that don't have two nickels to rub together for the most part. They spent their ramen noodle money for the show. Anyway, passenger gets in the car, whatever your conversation, maybe no conversation. I don't want to pay $150 for that ride. My driver was drunk. Passenger used to get the full money back. Now I think they give them a $5 ride credit, but people still think they get a free ride. You get enough of those claims, though, whether it's true or not, they're going to kick you off the platform. They don't want you, because if one person says it, it could be a lie. Two people say it, it could be bad. You get 10, 15 people saying that, it's probably not a lie.
Right.
If it continuously happens to somebody, they're gonna catch on. They're not stupid. They're gonna go, this is a person that's probably doing this.
The sad part about it is, what I feel bad about the deactivation, my wife's friend was deactivated because a traffic ticket wanted to warrant. There was a little bit of a mistake, and then
I have a friend right now that's going through that.
So it's been like 4 or 5 months, but they're losing money. They're losing $1,000 to $2,000 a week.
So I don't know how that's working, right now.
And what I noticed is that the court system, it takes 30 or 60 days to cycle through to show back that the driver's fine. So it's a problem because you lose your livelihood, right? You got a mortgage payment, you have food, for your family. So I do feel bad for some of the drivers
it's
that get deactivated.
It's not always passenger complaints that get somebody deactivated. It could be something as silly as a mistaken background check. They use Checker. It's not the most reliable.
The Checker system, right? Yeah.
It's not a very reliable system. I mean, they had me as deceased once. 4 years ago, I got lost access for a good week because I was deceased, apparently. Needless to say, I look pretty good for a dead guy, I guess.
Yeah,
but
I was just thinking that.
No.
Well, get into that another time. But the point I'm trying to make is there's all kinds of mistakes, and you have to do the legwork for that. There's got to be people that can help with that process, because it is a very difficult process. If you get in an accident on Uber or Lyft, whether you're at fault or not, you got to deal with their insurance companies, because you have that huge policy limit, $1 million a person. But here's the problem: the deductibles are $2,500. I don't know too many drivers that have that kind of money laying around. Maybe if they get involved with the Bitcoin guy here, then maybe they can. But the point is, most people don't have that kind of money laying around. They're living day to day, cash out to cash out, whatever it might be. They don't have that money laying around and these insurance adjusters are way worse than your regular insurance adjuster.
So quick question: how much? People always ask, how much can you make? I had a friend in Arizona, and he was showing me the app. He was working like crazy amount of hours, and he was making $2,000 to $3,000 a week. I was like very impressed.
Driving Uber?
Oh yeah, I mean,
it really depends, because remember, you're looking at pandemic numbers probably.
Okay.
During the pandemic, a lot of the drivers were collecting unemployment. They were getting that PUA thing. So if you were driving, you were making bank, because people.
Nobody was on the road.
Thrilled to get, and the tips were probably at the all-time high because they were just happy you showed up.
Can I talk about Uber drivers in Vegas?
Go for it.
I come out here on business, I was once a month. And it got to the point that we started coming out in April. And it got to the point we'd fly out. It came out we couldn't get an Uber driver. This is April of 2021. Yeah. Got to the point where I drive my car, my business partner flies, I pick him up the next day, just because it seemed like there's not enough drivers. I mean, I don't want to take us off topic.
No, you're right, because during the pandemic, you're getting $600, $1,000 to stay at home. If you do regular Uber X, you have to do 50, 60, 80 rides to make that kind of money. That's a lot of wear and tear on your car. That's a lot of, that's a lot of wear and tear on your car. That's a lot of potential risk for getting, assaulted by a passenger,
Right.
whatever the case may be, because everyone's tensions were high.
Do you feel that's changed? Do you feel that
Once the unemployment money ended, all of them came back. They all started coming back.
You
You
gotta come
don't have to wait a whole lot for the drive, for the passengers for your rides now. You can get a ride at the airport, whatever the hell they call it now. I know they changed the name on Tuesday, whatever it's called now.
So
Yeah.
So let's just recap. So if I wanted to drive tomorrow and I wanted to work 40 hours a week, and I wanted to work like during the day, I got kids, nighttime. What do you think I can make on a weekly basis? Because the people that are going to listen to this as well, some people may want to get a job, right? They're having a hard time finding a job. They may want to drive. So if I get a regular basic car and I want to drive, what can I make if I work 40 hours a week? Give me 40, 60, and 80 hours. I want to know, because people that say they can't find a job, I mean, there's no reason why they can't drive if they have a
Uber
car.
X, standard Uber ride, you probably could make 600 to 1,000 a week, depending on if you know the strategies. And that's just in-app.
And that's also using with the
If you
just the app.
leverage Uber and Lyft together, because they each give different promotions, and if you can leverage it where you can work them both,
Okay.
you can maximize that money. It's not just the apps, the kickbacks.
do you get all that money, or do you have to?
You get 100% of it.
Okay.
One of the tricks that I do, I started doing it a couple of years ago. I put QR codes on the back of my driver and passenger seat. A nice little display. It's not just some tacky thing. I made it really catchy to the eye. There are people who believe, and I don't know if I can substantiate this with fact, that Uber and Lyft keep some of our tips. I don't know that that's true. What I do know is they cap the amount you can be tipped at either 2 times what the passenger paid or $100, whichever one is, I think, higher. No, it's going to be lower. Whatever it is. Anyway, you pay $50 for a ride, you could tip up to $100. You pay $30, you could tip up to $60. So I guess whichever's lower. Point is, I've had passengers wanted to tip more than that. So I started thinking, I got my Venmo QR code, I got my PayPal, I have a tip jar set up with them, I have my Cash App. I get a lot of tips through that. People just love to go grab their phone. They use especially the younger people, the QR code. Oh, I'm going to Venmo you. And they can leave a little note with it, which is always fun for them.
Let's stop right there for 1 second, because I have 2 things that just came to mind.
Yeah.
Before we started, you mentioned about with Bitcoin, since you're the Bitcoin guru and whisperer, explain what you just mentioned before about the concept of Bitcoin and how it would work for rideshare drivers. And then we're going to throw in the NFT thing.
Okay.
So let's share some creative strategy.
Yeah, I mean, that's talking about like how the world was actually created. So I don't know how deep you want me to dive. However, when you were talking about that, so the problem with getting paid with cash is that every year that you actually have cash in a box in your bank account, a box under your bed, all right, every year that goes by, it's the equivalent of going and taking 8% of it, 10% of it, and lighting it on fire.
Inflation?
As it relates to the value of the purchasing. They call that inflation, but I want to explain that. And a lot of people, especially people who are Lyft drivers or Uber drivers, they think of their labor as their wage, right? They can earn as much as they can get out there and hustle. So in all the ways you're talking about, you're getting paid in cash. You can just as very easily actually get a QR code, right, to a Bitcoin wallet. And I've got a Strike app right here where I can immediately pay you from cash with the Lightning Network, and it immediately settles as Bitcoin. The only difference is if we go 10 years from now, right, that $100 that you made in tips is going to be worth $40. And that Bitcoin, you got $100 in tip in Bitcoin, is going to be worth $600, $6,000, right? And so basically, it's sound money. So I think you're on the right track. I just very much encourage you to get a Bitcoin wallet. I think you might be able to take Bitcoin on your Square app. I don't know how that works.
I know that Cash App just started
Cash App.
taking.
I meant to say Cash App.
I think
sorry.
they started taking it. I just got to set all this stuff up. It's been a little bit of a process with
Yeah.
time.
Eat that microphone.
Do me a favor, just
closer to the
Do me a
mic.
favor, you see how it's totally like said it's
There we
maybe
go.
a little uncomfortable. Just
Yeah.
pull it up a little bit more, just because I want to hear you.
Yeah.
Get right in there.
Like in the Marine Corps, close to it.
It's got to be so you hear it. Better? All right, so go ahead. So Cash App, Bitcoin. So you really should be, in the conversation he should be having is like, oh, by the way, if you're going to tip me, I accept Bitcoin. Use the QR code.
Yeah, I got it right
He
here.
should be pushing that for the
Well,
fact
I
that
mean, you do have drivers that have these tacky tip boxes. Hey, whatever works for you. There's gimmick drivers, I call them. They got their van set up like a karaoke disco, and you know it works for them. The fuzzy slippers, and I know these guys, and they do great. They make sometimes up to $3,000-4,000. I got a buddy George who probably made almost $4,000 a week last year during the pandemic, driving people around. That's ridiculous money. Not too many jobs are going to pay you $4,000 a week to just drive around.
All right, so creative strategy. He should have a QR code instead of the cash. Well, he could have both.
I'm not. No, he should have it all because he doesn't want to just say I only take Bitcoin because that way what he's going to do he's going to end up like well I don't have Bitcoin so no tip, right?
He should have access to both.
Yeah, and he can do it classy. He can have all his QR codes right there. I mean,
how far away do you think we are to where Bitcoin is the norm? Is that 10 years away?
No, it's
sooner?
the norm right now. I don't want to hijack this show, make it about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Please don't hijack the show,
go
please.
ahead. But I mean, like,
I'm playing.
but I mean, where it's really like full adoption.
Okay, so we're already there. Just a lot of people don't already see it. Okay, so like here, this is my Strike app. I just had it open, right? And as you can see, right?
Is that Common Strike? I'm not even.
Yeah, well, it's Strike.
I never heard of it.
Strike app.
Strike, right? What happened?
No, Stripe.
Strike.
That
lightning strike.
Okay, I didn't know that.
It's
Strike.
called Strike.
There
right?
is an app called Stripe too, though. But yes.
But here's what you
That's
have
the
to
company.
understand.
Payment process.
Right?
Yeah.
As you guys can all see, right? I have got X number of dollars. That's fiat currency. I just have that there.
Yep.
Right? If he has any type of Bitcoin wallet, I literally could pay him just like we do Venmo, right? I just hit pay right here, right? And then all of a sudden, what'll happen is I'll do the QR code, right? The little thing will come up. I'll do the QR code, and this magically takes my fiat currency, grabs Lightning Network, and in the metaverse universe, it grabs Bitcoin and it puts it into his account. So what I'm trying to say to you is there's a finite amount of Bitcoin. And so think about like a piece of ice that a snow cone guy just shaves.
Yep.
There's only a finite amount. So every time I pay somebody in Bitcoin, I'm not paying them with my Bitcoin. I would never do that. I'm paying them with cash. And now which is making it more scarce, which is taking the price of my Bitcoin and everybody else is up because high tides raise all boats. Did I answer your question?
I think so.
Well, I got a follow-up question.
But wait, well, you're paying in crypto, not cash,
No,
right?
You're paying cash to
crypto. Being converted
It's converting.
to crypto.
Yeah, but the Lightning the Lightning,
Like that.
It's like a credit card.
Right.
That's interesting.
See, here's the thing: you got cash in your bank, right?
Yeah.
But you use a credit card to go to rent the car.
Correct.
What happens is you go rent the car, they take $1,000. We're holding this on your credit card.
Right.
Okay. What ends up happening is it goes there. They're taking it as cash. You settle up later, right?
Yep.
But they do it instantaneously. He will see Bitcoin. You will see Bitcoin.
Yep.
And all I'm doing is I'm paying with the dirty fiat.
And then do you pay a fee to do that, or
No.
does he pay a fee to accept it?
It's like a penny.
Got it.
It's like one Satoshi. It's ridiculously unprohibitive. Go ahead.
So the follow-up to that is it's not just Bitcoin. There's 1,000,001 different. I think there's a new crypto every day now.
Okay.
Would it be prudent to have multiple ones of the popular ones?
No, because a lot of those utilities, a lot of these cryptos, the utility for them is not payment. They have worth and they have value, right? So, basically we got Canadian dollars, we got British pounds, we got all the things you think about, right? I can easily go to Canada or Mexico and I can swap dollars back and forth. But if I get to Uganda, it's like, well, what is this? Who's this man? Oh, he invented electricity. So it's a horrible analogy.
Yeah, well, nothing less expected from an army guy.
Here's a question. So if you put, let's say, $1,000 deposit, and then let's say it's a week or 2 weeks later, Bitcoin's really, really high. When that cash goes back as a deposit, you've made money, right?
What?
Am I saying that right? If you're paying cash, let's say you said
He
what
pays him cash.
Okay.
He sends cash.
No,
It gets converted to Bitcoin.
Okay, so-
His Bitcoin now can go up in value.
So we're going to do it this way. I'm going to tip him $10.
Okay.
Yep.
All right? And I would never tip you that much, by the way. I'm going to tip him $10 immediately.
We'll take a cab.
My $10, you're giving me an incentive to think about a cab. My $10, okay, is $10 in Bitcoin in his wallet. And then he's like, it could be 8 next week. It could be 18 next week. Yes, there is some volatility to Bitcoin,
Right.
which is a very healthy thing, by the way. Volatility is very healthy.
Why?
Because it's transacting. People are using it.
Got it.
It's the
Activity taking place.
It's a velocity.
Right.
The reason so many people thought they had money during the lockdown, right, is because the money velocity was so low. Everybody had money in their pocket. No one was going to Applebee's.
Right.
No one was going to Sinopolis.
Right.
No one was going to see, well, in your case, Justin Bieber, right?
He actually did.
Don't knock the Biebs.
No, it's his favorite guy. So I'm not. I would never. I love Canada.
All right, so let's jump
Send
into
them back.
let's jump into John in regards to NFTs.
Yeah.
Is there a creative concept for the near future for rideshare drivers? I like what you're saying.
sure.
Because no one probably is doing this, right?
I know a few people are. It's
It's trendy. I like this topic.
It's a trendy thing. It does require some creativity because you don't want to just throw a big QR code out there. It's got to be attractive. Especially someone like me who's doing all the luxury rides, I'm not trying to turn my car into a rolling 7-Eleven where it just QR codes. I saw a car with like condoms, tea bags, don't ask, I don't know why, candy, waters, all around the damn car. And I'm like, if I get in that car, it's an instant.
Rolling 7-Eleven. I like
get
that.
out of here.
Yeah.
Wait, I think I asked one question. I'm getting confused now. Why would you want to? You would never want to take your own Bitcoin and give it as a tip. You're going to use the app itself of Strike.
I'm going to use my cash.
Got it.
Same thing about
just to convert it to him to Bitcoin.
Because he wants to hold all the Bitcoin.
So as a
Got it,
Bitcoin,
got it.
holding gold.
So no one's ever going to want to give it Bitcoin.
I would rather take this $5 and have it go into the air and zap and magically land in his hand as Bitcoin.
I like the concept. So when we go to the local gas stations here, there's like new machines or you could pay for gas with your Bitcoin. That would be stupid, right?
Indeed.
You should be using your cash, not Bitcoin.
Indeed.
So they're trying to get as much Bitcoin because of supply and demand.
See, now you're getting it.
Finally got it. Took me like 3 episodes. I got
They
it.
make money on that, so that's
It's
why.
just like, would you rather own a slot machine or pay a slot machine?
Okay.
Right.
No, this
No,
is
you'd
old
rather
news.
play. I understand.
Yeah.
So no matter what, the goal is that you're getting cash. They're sending cash. It's just converting to you in Bitcoin.
It doesn't matter what I'm sending. What he needs to know is he's getting Bitcoin.
What it comes down to is another avenue to make more money for the driver. You're adding another avenue for the customer to give you what they have in their pocket in some capacity.
Right.
The app is going to limit them significantly, and it's a credit card processing thing. That's why they limit it.
If you're really the guest experience courtesy guy that I think you're trying to be, and I'm sitting in the back of your car and you're talking about a high-end ride, and you had a sign that says, if you know, I'm not going to paraphrase it, I know you, but if I had a sign that said, if you actually enjoyed your guest experience, I appreciate your appreciation by Venmo, and Bitcoin. I don't think that's tasteless.
No, and that's actually
say that one
verbatim
time?
what I have.
Say that again. What does it say?
Well, okay. If I saw a sign that said, if you enjoyed your guest experience, you can show your appreciation Venmo, Zelle, or Bitcoin.
Right.
And you have the QR codes. Everybody's going to know what that means. So I'm not going to take my Bitcoin and put it on the Venmo.
Right.
Right.
And that's not geared toward 90-year-old Belma that gets in my car.
But most
sure.
But she
ain't keeping anyhow. She doesn't carry cash anymore.
The QR code for the Bitcoin would probably
write
take
me a
you to
check.
Strike. Like
The QR code for Bitcoin is the QR code for Bitcoin. You're overthinking this.
Okay.
Okay. Just like Zelle. It's just Zelle is, you can't take Zelle to
because
Venmo.
It's just a
Right.
different
It's
format.
platform
So Zelle,
specific.
he sends money, it turns into money in my account. Instead of with this Strike thing, he's sending money and it turns into Bitcoin in my Bitcoin account. That's all it is.
But we're talking about one extra little QR code as opposed to 2 versus 3. I
already have 3. What more wouldn't kill it? I just have to redesign the sign.
the problem is most people need that money on a weekly basis. Like I feel like it's a little bit more of the investment for the future.
Well, hold on a second. You can always turn your Bitcoin into cash if you, quote, need it, right? And I'm begging you not to need it. I'm begging you to have hands and steal it. But everybody's got to do what they've got to do.
You're begging them to do what your shirt says.
Hodl.
It'd be interesting.
Come up,
it'd be interesting, like if you had QR, if you were getting Bitcoin as tip, and then at the end of the month, let's just say you had, I was to say 1 Bitcoin. That's a lot of money.
Right.
Whatever.
50,000 today.
Let's just say it was a quarter of 1 Bitcoin. It'd be interesting to see if there was a chart how much you really are making at the end of the year. Like if you're making,
I'll tell you exactly. Bitcoin has gone up 200% every year. 200%. Okay, so I'll tell you exactly. The thing about it is, Bitcoin is liquid. You can actually turn Bitcoin into cash like that. Okay, It's not this thing you have to hold like antique coins or art. You got to get it appraised and moved and sold to buy. It's nothing like that.
okay, NFTs.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts with? Is anything I'm just thinking creativity because you're a Bitcoin. You're an NFT guy.
Yeah.
Anything you think of creativity NFT? Is there a QR code for NFT? Like that's not a thing.
Well,
I'm still learning all this stuff.
On the utilities, NFT, it's either going to be collectible or it's going to give some sort of utility. So, for like drivers, eventually, I think all your service records will be kept or will be in the form of an NFT
On the blockchain.
on the blockchain.
Yeah.
So this way, if you were going to buy a used car, you'd be able to literally, you could back up the entire service record history of that car on the blockchain in the form of an NFT, so that you would know for a fact this car has had all of its oil changes on time. It's had all this
It
work
got
done.
flooded this time.
Right.
It was pulled out.
Right.
The records are all there.
So do you know, Jason, do you know what NFT is?
Yeah, I mean, I also do sports card investing. Big thing in the sports card industry now. They're doing all these NFT blockchain cards.
Right.
Higher end sets actually come with redemptions for blockchain cards. It's a big thing. My son collects Pokemon. They have a little blockchain NFT thing.
Yeah.
It's getting really big. I'm not totally educated on it. I'm not gonna lie. Many people who are, but it's definitely out there. There is a market for it. If you go on eBay and you look at some of these things,
They're going for crazy
they're going
money.
for a lot more than what you'd think they're going for. For something
One guy sold one 72 million, I think, the other day, right? Beeple.
People. So let me just say something for the audience and everybody,
Yeah.
right? A cryptocurrency, right? Like Ethereum or Polkadot or Bitcoin.
Yeah.
These are fungible tokens. Fungible. It's the same thing. Like a $1 bill in my wallet's the same thing as a $1 bill in your wallet. We change them out. They're fungible, no matter how we give them to. Bitcoin, they're fungible because they're all the same. Non-fungible, these things are actually different, like a turkey versus a bottle of vodka. It's like these are not fungible items to one another. So
Right.
that's just the way you need to look at it. If you just start from the base there, you understand. Sorry, David.
No, no,
South Park episode on NFT. So yeah,
What about the whole like QR code, like people in the back of their tourists, like an NFT experience, or there's a rideshare experience that they get? Like if they're going to the strip club, they're going to go to the liquor. I mean, can't there be a NFT QR code for?
Sure.
An
I mean, yes. I mean, you could conceivably, if you were Uber or in your case, you could have an NFT that you could sell, and there could be different levels of that NFT. So one could be, let's say, one of 10. If you're one of the 10 people that have this NFT, I'm just making something up. You get free Uber for life as part of this NFT because you bought it for whatever, $10,000 or whatever you bought it for, hoping, well, maybe that's worth more to someone, and you could resell that. I mean, it might be an interesting thing for Uber to do, actually, if they had something like that.
You know what's interesting? A lot of times there's locals that
they're spending too much money trying to replace the drivers with driverless cars first. But yeah,
Yes.
But here's a good question. Every time that he drives somebody, it's against the law that his app must be on when he drives, right? So what's kind of interesting is that if someone did
that. I didn't know that's the law. That's the
So
law?
if you're a licensed TNC driver, and there are things you have to have.
TNC?
Transportation Network Company.
Got it.
You have to have that sticker in your window. You have to have a state business license. You have to have a Clark County business license. You don't have that Clark County business license, you go to whatever the airport's called now. I don't know, the airport. And they see you, you're getting a massive fine. If you are not a licensed TNC driver, you don't have the app, and they will check it at the pickup places. If you are on an Uber ride and I go to pick you up and you say, I'd rather pay you in cash, so I cancel the ride. One of these guys from the NTA sees it, my car's getting impounded. I've got a huge fine, probably about $10,000. They are going to impound my car. I'm going to have to pay the fees on that, and I have to go to court. It is very illegal.
That's interesting. So that's funny. You just settled an argument I had with someone 2 years ago who didn't articulately explain that to me. So I wanted my buddy to pick up someone at LAX for me and drive them here to Vegas. And because he was an Uber driver. And I said, well, I will just give you cash. Just go pick this person up and then drive him here. And he was saying, I can't pull in to LAX, I'm going to get in trouble to do that.
Though, because here's the thing. I have friends. I do Uber. Doesn't mean I don't have friends. Hey, I'm coming in at 6 o'clock tomorrow. Can you pick me up?
Doesn't mean you're not on the clock
pickup
all the time.
Just don't go to the Uber pickup.
Don't
have your trade dress in the window, the stickers.
Right.
Take them off.
Yeah, that's what I was about to
go
say.
Go to passenger pickup.
Right.
You're not going to be able to set that up with an Uber passenger because they don't know who you are until they get that request.
Right.
But what they're saying is you can't also solicit that ride. There are people who don't have anything.
Right.
Either platform. They'll go up there and they'll try to solicit the ride. Hey, you tired? Like in April, you're tired of waiting? I'll take you for $50. You get caught doing that, you're gonna pay a hefty fine.
Got it.
Hope it's worth it.
So here's the thing: is with the NFT, if there's a QR code, let's just say you said it was unlimited, whatever it is,
Yep.
or like unlimited local driving once a week or something like that. Technically, I don't know how that would work because he has to always have his app on, right?
Well, so it probably worked just ordering the ride and it's paid for throughout that. Uber had a thing a couple of years ago,
Was it
probably
unlimited?
flopped massively, but
10 a month
It was
or
called a
something?
rider pass, and basically you pay a subscription. It was like $99 a year or whatever, and you get so many rides per month. Sometimes you get a free upgrade, whatever it might have been, to like a nicer ride. But
It flopped.
it flopped because locals in Vegas don't really Uber that much. Remember I gave you the 4 categories of passenger. People who work on the Strip generally will drive there.
Right.
People who are going out will take an Uber if they're smart and they're not Henry Ruggs. Sorry, I don't know if that was too soon.
No, it's okay.
And he don't even pay for lifts. That's the worst part because he was in the NFL. People will they will take it. Now, locals are generally people that most drivers try to avoid because they don't like to tip. What you're really gearing it toward is the passengers on the Strip.
Got it.
You want those tourists. I could pick up a local. I could pick you up at home. I could recommend a dispenser. You're not going to the one up the Strip because you're not paying Strip prices. You're going to say, yeah, sure, take me to the one up the street. I don't get anything for that except maybe a quarter of a minute waiting for you.
Right.
You know, that's not something that people want to do. I send a little message to my passengers when I get them at the airport, letting them know, hey, you want to stop at the liquor store and or dispensary along the way. It's like $12 for a bottle of water in the resorts, which is pretty close. You know, save you a little bit of time, money, add some value to the ride. To piggyback on all of this, if you add value to their ride, they're going to tip you. There's this thing that people think if they're going to tip, they're going to tip. If they're not going to tip, they're not going to tip, no matter what you do. That's not true. I've been, look, I've gone into situations where I didn't have the money to tip, but I found it because the person blew me away. I take Ubers and Lyfts. Why? Two things. I want to see what the other drivers are doing, compare it to what I do, but I also want to see what it's like on the other end of that app. If you're a driver and you haven't taken a ride as a passenger, I encourage you to do it. Go to the gas station, whatever it is. See what it's like on the other side. Because a lot of times you get these complaints, you don't realize what you're doing. I used to talk about politics a lot, which is really stupid in any scenario, but didn't think about it. Got a driver that took me to Red Rock. It was 5 minutes from the house. Talking about politics. Made me pretty uncomfortable. Realized at that moment, okay, I shouldn't be doing this. Because if I'm uncomfortable, I can only imagine what I'm doing with the person in the car.
Right.
And when I stopped doing that, the tips went up. The things like that. Just keep it light, keep it funny. Whatever they're going through, just make it. Most people here on vacation joke.
Yeah.
Can I ask about the different services? Because for me, so there's Uber, there's UberX, and there's Uber Black. I like Uber Black.
So we don't have Uber Black out here. There was something with the limo and the NTA with that where they couldn't get Uber Black out here because it's basically a limo.
Or like an SUV.
So yeah, I'll get into the different. So each Uber and Lyft have different services. Uber has UberX, that's your standard 4-passenger car. It could be any car on their platform. Although if you drive an Escalade or something like that, I don't know why you're taking a 60-cent a mile ride. Then you have Uber Comfort.
Because I can.
You can, but you're not really.
I've found that I mean it's just a better, higher quality. It's not a Prius that stinks.
Oh no,
I'm just saying.
UberX is going to be the Prius most likely.
Yeah, not interested.
Then you've got Uber Comfort. It's a little bit newer, a little more leg room. Generally, there's a driver requirement for rating. Then you have XL. That's just a larger vehicle with up to 6 passengers. Although right now it's 5 because they don't want anyone sitting in the
Maybe
front
that's
seat.
what I take in Vegas. Sorry.
XL. Then Uber added, they got rid of Uber Select, which was the luxury option. They replaced it with Uber Premier and Premier SUV. Now, the cool thing about these luxury options, they don't surge the same way the regular Uber X does. An Uber XL will go up in price based on the demand for Uber X. So if there's 10,000 people around you, let's say you get out of the Raider game, all ordering an Uber X, you're going to pay more for your XL because of that. But if you scroll over to Premier and Premier SUV, they're going to be cheaper a lot of times.
That's interesting.
Now with Lyft, they don't have as many services. You have Lyft Classic, which is it's equivalent to Uber X, same pay. You have Lyft XL, pretty much the same pay as Uber XL. Same process. It surges based on the regular Lyft ride. Then you have Lyft Lux, which is a regular luxury ride. What Uber Select used to be before they got rid of it. Then you have Lux Black and Lux Black XL. That's your black car service. You're going to pay a premium for that. Again, during the pandemic, when they brought back the surge, when the state of emergency was lifted, I got a lot of passengers saying, yeah, I ordered this Lux Black XL because it was cheaper than a regular XL. Cool. Or it was the same price or $1 more, so I'm going to upgrade and get a nicer car, nicer driver, whatever the case may be. You have to have a higher rating to do black rides. The luxury rides, you have to have a newer, nicer car. They have a list of approved vehicles. You can't just grab a really fancy Toyota Camry and do Uber, Lux Black. They're not going to allow it. You have to have a really fancy car.
Right. That's interesting. So when I go to LA a couple times a month, to go from LAX to anywhere is over $100 now. So I need to try
In Uber?
In Uber, yeah.
Okay.
I need to try upgrading, maybe, right? Or no?
Swipe over to the luxury rides and see, because a lot of times it might be cheaper.
Or the equivalent, but at least you're in a nicer car.
That's right.
Right.
During EDC, I got a lot of this because it surges, especially when they're going up to the speedway, coming back from the speedway. You get this a lot. A regular lift from, I use Bally's as an example.
Yeah.
When they're all heading up and it's that time to the speedway, normally it's about $25.
Yeah.
Was $133.
Wow.
A Lux Black ride was $79.
Unbelievable.
When the airport was surging on Lyft during the summer, we'd be sitting there waiting while the surge was going up for the driver because it was a progressive surge.
Yeah.
And we'd just go on the passenger app and look. A regular Lyft XL from, I'm calling it McCarran because that's what it was.
Yeah, yeah. It'll always be
Terminal
McCarran.
1
It's
to
still
Planet-
McCarran.
Yeah.
Terminal 1 to the Venetian. It's a pretty common ride.
Yeah.
Would be, with this surge, could be up to $250.
Well, that's what I was
crazy.
going to
a
ask.
Lux Black XL, $65.
Well, let me ask you
Wow.
a question. So, staying at the Four Seasons, if I want to go from the Four Seasons to, say, I don't know, the Bellagio, I'm just being hypothetical, right? How much is that ride, would you say? $6?
It depends on what's going on. No, it's
No,
going to be
no.
about $10.
Okay,
probably
$10.
on a regular
$10
ride with no surge.
If all of a sudden the Raider game is getting out, and that's right across the
You're
freeway,
probably around $40 or $50 now.
even though I'm on the other side of the freeway, right?
So the way the surge works is there's an
Supply and
epicenter,
demand.
which is there is an epicenter on surge, and
That's it,
what-
supply and demand, right?
Yeah, it's where the action is, right by the Raiders Stadium where they had that pickup lot. That's where the epicenter is. But it's going to spread out because people are walking. Smart people will walk away from the event. Golden Knights games, when I drop people off, I tell them, if you could wait a couple hours to go home, do that. If you can't,
Just cost you more money.
go down to, just get away from the Aria, that whole cluster on Tropicana. Get as far away from the arena as you can, then order your ride from the pickup.
Okay, so just to jump in, so I will just to go a little bit back on the topic, but this is all great stuff in general. The bottom line is supply and demand surges all the time. I want to just recap. So I like the fact that we talked about crypto, the QR code creativity. Maybe over the next few weeks, if there's other ideas and suggestions, I wouldn't mind implementing it with Jason because he's working on the driver companion app to basically help drivers. So maybe you could just kind of help me figure it out so we could help drivers.
All you need to do is download the Strike wallet. Strike
wallet.
Strike.
And QR code if people want to tip
Just
that way.
download the Strike wallet, and
okay.
they can pay you that way.
So we're done with that. NFT, if you can think of something creative for the future for all Uber, Lyft drivers, it's kind of an interesting concept. I have no clue how that's going to work. You're a creative guy, always come up with some good, great stuff. So maybe both aspects would be. I kind of feel the experience situation for the Vegas experience.
I think in terms of incentives, the two most important things that I got out of what you said today was just now about the upgrading of the car to kind of hack paying the surge prices. But earlier when you first opened up, I can't stress enough how important it is. You touched on it. You said, you can make a lot of money basically if you do your homework. And I think there's like two kinds of drivers too, right? It's like the ones that just get in and drive and they just accept, they wait. They're just waiting. They're at the mercy of the app of who's just recommending it or who's ordering your car.
Weekly quest bonus where you do this many rides, we'll give you this much extra money.
Right.
They say, okay, I'm going to pick the 90 ride quest for, I don't know, $400. I'm just going to get 90 rides. I'm going to plug them out between 4 a.m. on Monday and 4 a.m. on Friday. I'm getting those 90 rides, getting my $400. They don't care about kickbacks. They don't care about the tips. They just want to plug out those rides. They're going to put 1,200 to 1,400 miles on their car. In that time frame, they need an oil change every week or more if they're not riding around on bald tires and all that. Then you have the drivers like, the small group that I kind of associate with. We do our homework. We share these things. With New Year's coming up, know where there's a Facebook group. I'm going to give a quick plug. The official new driver. Let me pull it up because I'm not real good at names here. But it is a really helpful. Here, the official Las Vegas new rideshare driver help group for Uber and Lyft. It's run by a great guy. His name's Brian. He's I'm going to try to get him on the show. We call him the Google. If there's something to know about these apps, he knows it. Know about the road closures for New Year's Eve. That's huge because you're going to get really frustrated. There's going to be millions of people. And it's not just that's a day you want to almost stay away from the tourists. And work the locals, which is what I do. I'm going to try to work Summerlin exclusively.
Right.
Don't get any ideas, people. It's my turn. No, I'm going to put my bandana down, my flag. But know that. Be safe. Keep your head on a swivel. Don't worry about the drunk guy in the back that might throw up or might not. Worry about the drunk guy to the left of you, or the drunk guy behind you that's going 155 miles an hour in his Corvette. Worry about that guy, because otherwise you're going to be calling the legal rideshare people. I need help. I got injured.
Jason, are you okay? So if someone wants to basically become a rideshare driver, can they reach out to you to get more information?
Go ahead and DM me on Facebook, Jason Brooklyn. It's pretty...
Jason Brooklyn on
Yeah.
Facebook?
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. I don't really give out my personal number too much.
I'll give it to you. It's 702.
So actually, if anybody
Get
wants,
bent.
Anyone can call the problem solver, myself, Dave Kohlmeier, at my number, 702-400-7474. If you want me to get in touch, you want to get in touch with Jason, or you can find them on Facebook. He's going to start doing some different podcasts talking about how to make extra money by doing the rideshare, and also, certain places for pickup to make life easier, to be more efficient, so you can make money and not just spend money on
I'm also
gas.
going to try to get somebody on to talk about CES, which is after the new year, about a week
Okay.
after.
Yep.
Starts around my birthday every year. So if anyone's wondering, for my birthday, I do wear a size Tesla Model X. But if you are, and I mean this, I hope nobody's in an accident, anyone who's watching, but if you are an Uber or Lyft driver, or you're a passenger, and you do get in a wreck, regardless of who's at fault, 844 Uber Lyft, Lyft Uber. See, I screwed it up. Dyslexic.
844 Lyft Uber.
Yeah, give them a call. They will get you in touch with someone that can help you navigate through these companies. Brutally, disgustingly, almost unethical insurance companies. Let's face it, those insurance adjusters have one job: to spend as little money as possible, get the thing closed out, and get you stop complaining about it.
Savages.
They really are.
And John, Dave, I'm not sure if you know, but there's different lawyers in town, but there's a new group called Rideshare Injury Lawyers. Their number happens to be 1-844-LIFT Uber, and they have different lawyers that
Isn't that 8 letters?
one off of, you could leave the S off for savings.
Just keep going.
I'm
It's just
joking.
like
It doesn't
you're-
matter.
you know,
When you have toll-free number,
You
don't-
can put 9 digits in instead of
just like your
7. He'll
chat
still
porn
ring.
John's new to 2021.
Well,
He does not
What
know
chat
about
porn
that.
lines he uses, right?
Yeah.
So locally, 7 digits is
He's still
local.
paying-
I didn't
he's
know
still
that.
paying off Madam
You can do a few
Cleo.
extra digits.
I never knew that.
Yes.
I never knew
Still
that.
waiting for
We're
my
teaching you here
Powerball
today,
numbers.
John.
Who knew?
So I appreciate this new group, Rideshare Injury Lawyers, for helping out rideshare drivers, because it's more specific to drivers, especially if you have like a rental car. There's different, it gets more advanced.
Yep.
And we're going to have you talk about the things in the future, like, if you want to actually drive rideshare, you could actually, there's a program where you can rent a car.
Uber, you can use Hertz. With Lyft, I don't know if they still do it. It was another company.
What?
There's also Hire Car, where you can do both. People rent out their cars. It's like rideshare, but I'm renting you my Lincoln for, I don't know, $400
So
a
hire
day.
car, Hertz, different rental programs. So you don't even have to have a car.
I
You
heard
don't have to have
about
insurance with those either.
I heard about there's a service, I didn't pay attention to this, a service where they will finance you to actually buy your car for Lyft or Uber.
I do want to touch on that, though, because there's a
Oh,
lot of
okay,
drivers.
I've just heard about it.
You're not wrong, but here's the thing. If you have good credit, you can get away with anything anyway. Doesn't matter where your money comes from. Hopefully it's legal. Here's the biggest thing that I want to touch on that, though, and I tell this to drivers all the time. They ask, I drive a Camry. Should I get an SUV? Can you afford it without Uber and Lyft? If the answer is no, do not do it. There are drivers that have sunk themselves with $1,200 car payments, and they do rideshare. A couple of false complaints, a couple of people saying he smelled like weed, he drove really recklessly. Guess what? Now you're stuck with a $1,200 payment
a great
and
point.
no income. You're going to be calling the job whisperer here, trying to find you a burger, to get a job.
You got to be
because
careful.
You got to
Yeah.
be really careful. You got to know your passenger.
Yeah, it's good advice.
Know the client.
And just to recap, so Kickback app is one of the app's resources for drivers. Driver Companion is another progressive web app as well to help drivers. They have Jason Brooklyn on Facebook to help out. If you get into an accident and you're injured and you're a rideshare driver, we have Rideshare Injury Lawyers at 844-LIFT Uber, which is great. So a lot of resources. And I think that's the difference with Driver Companion. That particular app is about resources, about helping drivers, where the Kickback app is specifically about where to get the kickback, which is
Where to
legal.
make more money.
Where to make more money and to be more efficient, whether it's liquor or restaurants or different places. If you're dropping people off, if they ask for, hey, where do you recommend you take them to those places, you can
Put
make
it in their
additional
head.
money.
Put it in their head like I do at the airport. That little text, half the people don't even read it. But the half that do, oh, you know what? Yeah, let me grab a bottle over there. It's going to save them $20 from the casino, and it's on the way.
Got it.
If nothing else, for the people that just tap the app, you added 10 minutes of wait time to your ride.
Yeah.
That's great.
Hey, man, this was fascinating. I mean,
Yeah.
I learned so much.
Yeah.
We are all
never
now
thought of it.
rideshare gurus. All of us were
like
rideshare
it.
gurus.
I'm
I
not
told
a
you.
guru. I know how to sit in the back.
Let me give you all my
order
referral codes so you could sign up, and I give you
reason-
$250 for all of you.
The reason why that I had him on, because I noticed that Jason was being very vocal and sharing and also inspiring other drivers. If you want to make the money, he was sharing some kind of whispering a little bit of positive kind of affirmations. Like, if you want to make money, you could do it. This is what you should do. This is what you should do. And I like that. He was sharing. He was being a true New Yorker, where New Yorkers sometimes get a bad rap, that he was really trying to share,
Yeah.
not making any money from it, educating people what you should do if you want to make money, get off your ass and basically go out, make some money, go to these hours, do these things, and you can make money. There's no excuses. I hate people say to me all the time, like, I'm looking for a job. How many resumes did you send out? Like, 2, 3. I'm like, my brother back in the day, 20 years ago, would send out 100 resumes, put attention human resources, and he got 3 phone calls. He got a job.
and then
So
you
when you send out
call
100
too.
resumes, you're going to get a job, right? So anyway, Jason, I appreciate you coming on the show. We're wrapping up. Long story short, let's all be creative. So in the future, the next month, when you come back on, sharing some different strategies, I want to come up with different strategies that are out of the box to really help drivers. Because the goal here is me solving problems, which one is employment today, and how many drivers do you think are out there driving right now in
If I
Vegas?
had to guess, pre-pandemic it was about 40,000. Right now, I'd say it's probably closer to 50,000.
Wait.
And with school out, the teachers are going to be driving too. They want to make that extra money.
So
I'd say
50,000 drivers
Not
in Las
all
Vegas.
at the same time, but there's about 50,000 active drivers
You're
right now.
saying there's 20%, 25% more drivers than before the pandemic?
Well, because a lot of people during the pandemic weren't working. They were laid off. They didn't want to deal with Nevada's broken unemployment system. And if you've ever had to file it, which I hope you never did, it is broken. There are people who still haven't been paid since last March. Believe it or not, there's a handful. I know one of them. They just said, you know what? I gotta feed my family. I can't steal it. We're not in LA. We can't just steal things and get away with it. So we got to feed our family, right? By the way, don't go to LA. Their police chief said they can't keep you safe. But you got to feed your family. So I got a car. I got car insurance. I could drive my car. Yeah, pick up strangers. Who cares? It's funny, when we were younger, we're told don't talk to strangers on the internet. Don't get in a stranger's car. Now you're going to use the internet to get in a stranger's car.
You do it for travel. You do it to date. You do it for everything now. It's crazy.
That's true. So,
Yeah.
Jason, thanks for coming on the show. John Orlando,
Yes,
amazing
sir.
as usual. Thanks for joining, being a co-host, David.
you.
The Whisperer and the Bit About Crypto podcast. Make sure you follow his. Also, Action Junkies as well. Again,
Well done. Look at you.
I'm all over
You're
the place.
a host.
And then eventually we're going to have Jason, the Rideshare Guru podcast, because he's going to be sharing and educating people how to make more money with Rideshare. And I'm really glad that he's on the show today, and I appreciate everyone's time. And we'll see you next week. And again, I'm David Kohlmeier, the problem solver. There's no problem that's too small, too big that I would love to help you. I am 24/7. I will text you and call you back whenever I can. If you have any problem whatsoever, I'm 702-400-7474. I am legit 24/7. Dave is laughing at me here, but it's true.
No, I'm
Try
not.
me at 4 a.m. I got 3 kids. I'm making sure they breathe at night, multiple times throughout
I'm
the night.
calling
So
you at
I'm open.
4:33 this morning.
try
just
me
to
at
see what
4:30 a.m.
happens.
Text
All
me
right,
and say,
I'm
"Are you
doing
up?"
it.
I
I'm
mean,
doing
I
it.
texted at almost 1 o'clock in the morning when I was in my accident.
I'm up and I'm waiting. I love to help people. So
I
that's my
haven't
thing.
had my accident yet, but I'm looking forward to calling you when I do.
You call me when you have a problem.
There you go.
Anyway, see you next
in
week.
a lift.
Be safe. Make sure you tip your rideshare drivers and send them Bitcoin when you see them in the car.
That's right.
Ask them if they have an app. If not, tell them to download Strike Wallet and send your Uber and Lyft driver some Bitcoin.